Hello and welcome to Secrets of Organ Playing podcast. We are your hosts, Vidas Pinkevičius
and Aušra Pinkevičienė.
We've been mastering secrets of organ playing for more than 20 years and sharing them on this blog since 2011.
On this show, which we create from our home in Vilnius, Lithuania, we strive to help you grow in every area of organ playing, including practice, technique, repertoire, sight reading, hymn playing, improvisation, composition, music theory, harmony, and many others.
Our hope is to help you become a complete musician, or what we call as total organist, a program which we have created to help you reach your dreams faster than you would do on your own.
If you are new here, we invite you to subscribe to receive free updates of this blog at organduo.lt. By subscribing, you will also receive free video how to master any organ composition and 10-day organ playing mini course.
And now let's go to the podcast for today. Hi guys, this is Vidas.
And Aušra.
Let's start episode 289 of Secrets of Organ Playing podcast. This question was sent by Osei, and he wants to become a great organist and a composer, but he struggles with fingering. That's a sort of short question that he sent.
But I find it very controversial, don't you?
Yes. If you want to become a great composer and organist, I think your challenges should be bigger than fingering.
I think so too. Because if you are still struggling with fingering, it means that you are at a very beginner level. Don't you think so?
Yes. What I've read, like if he solve the fingering problem, then he would become a great organist and a composer, which is obviously not enough.
Yes, because I think fingering is only one small part of performance.
What about pedaling, right?
True, and all other things, and if you want to become a composer, you need to know theory very well too, to be able to analyze pieces.
Let's talk a little bit about fingering, right? How to solve this fingering problem if he doesn't use our fingering and pedaling scores.
Well, when making your own fingering, you need to know what piece you are working on, in which style it is written. If it's Baroque piece, or it's Romantic piece, or it's a modern piece. And then you finger it accordingly. And we have talked about those basic principles of fingering, I think, many times already.
And since Osei wasn't listening, we can repeat that again, right? So let's say for Baroque fingering, what you must avoid is playing with finger substitutions, glissandos, things like that. Avoid using thumb whenever possible, right? If it's maybe
on a black keys, on the upper keys.
Yes, if it's a chromatic music, especially for 18th century, then avoiding thumb is not really possible most of the time. I guess using those three main fingers, 2, 3, and 4, are very, very important in early music, right? In both hands. What about, let's say, modern music or legato style music?
When you can use the finger substitution and glissandos.
But not always, right?
Not always. It depends on what articulation needs. If you have to play legato, then yes, you will use all those techniques.
If you play frequently scales and arpeggios, you can figure out most of the modern fingering too without any glissandos and substitutions.
True.
But substitutions and glissandos come handy when you're playing more than one voice in one hand.
And that's very often happens in the 19th century and later music.
Right. Is it okay to use the same finger in some of the middle voices when it's not possible to play legato?
Well, yes, you have to do that quite often.
You lift off a little bit, and since the audience will still hear the upper voice and the bottom voice, it's not a big deal.
Well, actually, sometimes it's even possible to connect, to play legato two notes with your thumb.
Thumb glissandos, yes.
That's right.
So that's basically the main principles of playing the modern music with efficient fingering, right? What about his dream of becoming a great organist and a composer? Can we help him a little bit? What would be the first step?
Well, of course, to practice a lot.
Sit down on the organ bench as often as he can, maybe every day, right?
Sure. If you want to become a great organist, you have to practice every day.
How long? For how long?
Well, at least 2 or even 3 or 4 hours.
Let's say 4 hours. For a great organist, you have to practice for 4 hours. 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon. With breaks, of course. Don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt your back, and you have to walk around, drink a glass of water, and stretch every 30 minutes or so. But since Osei has a lofty goal to become a great organist and a composer, I think pushing yourself a little bit more and playing 4 hours a day is doable.
Yes, and about becoming a composer too, I think it's important to understand that composition is probably the highest level of all musical creativity. I would say that improvisation might be a little bit higher.
Yes, I was going for that. Why higher, Ausra?
Because when you're composing on the spot, right on the spot.
Oh, thank you. You're sort of developing further the great idea.
But so, to become a composer, you need to understand music theory, music harmony, the musical analysis very good. You need to have, to know different musical styles. So you have to know a little bit of music history too. And then after, studying other composer styles, other musical styles, you need to develop your own style.
Does it come naturally or you have to force yourself?
Well, I think both ways. For some, it might come naturally, but for some, I think.
Do you think Bach, let's talk about Bach. Do you think when he was creating music in the 18th century, would he think, oh, how can I become original?
Well, I think, each great composer started by studying other composers' works.
Copying them.
Yes, copying them. Like Bach, for example, he, when he lived with his brother, at night, in secret, he would rewrite pieces by Johann Pachelbel.
Right. And at first his compositions were similar to Pachelbel's.
Sure. And then remember that story when he went on foot throughout Germany to Lübeck, to listen to Buxtehude and to Reinken in Hamburg. So obviously, he was learning from them as well.
And when he was living in those parts, he learned from Böhm in Lüneburg.
True. And since you can find all those Italian and French influences in his music, and obviously German influences, various German influences, because Pachelbel lived in one part of Germany where music was so much different, let's say, from the northern Germany. So He studied all those influences, and you can find all of them in his music. Of course, he sort of remade them, reworked them, recycled them, and used in his own unique way. And of course, we also need to mention that he knew Stila Antico very well.
Which is Renaissance style.
Yeah, which is Renaissance, so obviously he knew works probably by such great masters as Palestrina and Di Lasso.
And let's say Frescobaldi.
True, true.
Yes, you mentioned a great idea that he combined several ideas into one style, German, Italian, French, and made it his own. This combination that we know as a mature Bach style, as a mature Baroque style even, right? So a person like Osei could first copy some music of his favorite composers, study them, get curious about them, analyze them, and maybe create something really similar that these composers did at first. But once he gets better at that, once it becomes boring, he could combine a few elements into one piece, a few stylistic elements into one composition. That's how you become original, right? Not copying one, but stealing from many composers.
That's right. And since Bach lived in 18th century and we live in 21st century, we have much more things to study too, because the music history is already much richer and longer comparing to the 18th century.
So we have so much material that old masters didn't have before.
That's right.
That's great. And this is such a lofty goal, right? To become a great composer and organist. Do you think that Osei could start composing right away, even if he doesn't know so much about organ history, music theory, harmony, other composer stylistic elements? Could he do that today?
Well, I wouldn't do that if I would be him.
Why?
Because, well, would you?
It's not forbidden to start composing, right? It wouldn't be great, and he has to, so to say, fail a lot at first, right? And only a little bit later he will find out a few breakthroughs. And that's okay, right? You have to start small. That's what I would do.
Well, the scary thing for me is that there are many young people nowadays who imagine that we are composers already, great composers. But we cannot themselves neither play nor understand music. And I don't know how we compose. Probably we are using just digital softwares to help them to do it. And I wouldn't want to play a piece written by such a composer. Because in order for me to take a composition of somebody and to play it, I need to respect that composer.
That's a great idea, because we can compare composing to writing, and there are so many writers, right, who create novels, and a lot of novels are not good, simply bad writing, right? So the first rule in writing probably is write a book you want to read yourself, right? If you are not reading that book yourself, if you wouldn't recommend to anybody else that kind of style, then it's not a good book. So with composition probably is the same. You have to compose music you want to play yourself.
True, and in order to do that you need to be able to to play the instrument. And if you are writing for organ, you need to know about it.
So becoming a great organist and composer, actually it's connected, right? It's two sides of one coin. right? You cannot become a great organist if you are not actually creating. And if you can't create well, if you are not playing the instrument, if you are not basically familiar with the vast variety of organ repertoire which came before, right? So tell Osha your final advice to Osei.
Well, so just keep going and keep motivating yourself, and have a little goal for every day, knowing that finally it will lead you, to becoming a great organist and composer.
And my advice would be probably start small and have a goal of becoming a bad composer first, right? Create bad music first, but lots of it. And then little by little, if you create lots, maybe 1,000 compositions that are bad, maybe one or two will be good, And then in 20 years, you become a great composer.
Well, yes, for some composers, it was enough to leave one, excellent piece that we would be remembered forever.
Right. So it's a long life, and hopefully you can create something new every day. And it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Because perfection is killer of creativity. Thank you guys, this was Vidas.
And Osha.
Please send us more of your questions. We love helping you grow. And remember, when you practice,
miracles happen.
This blog is supported by Total Organist, the most comprehensive organ training program online, where you will find courses for every area of organ playing, including technique, practice, sight reading, repertoire playing, hymn playing, improvisation, composition, music theory and harmony, with hundreds of scores and thousands of exercises. Here is what some of the students are saying.
Hugh writes, "The sight reading course has helped me tremendously. Thank you very much for your essays, courses, and all your help."
Robert writes, I found the fingerings, registration ideas, and general comments to be excellent.
John writes, I have found your download very helpful. It was really excellent. I have watched some of your teaching videos, and when I read your instructions, I tried to imagine you are there teaching me. You may feel disappointed that I am 2-3 days behind, but I am a slow learner, and I have committed to taking the time to get it right, as you say. But the other night my wife commented that she had never heard me play such a detailed melody in the left hand so well. My left hand is generally poor.
Robert writes, it has been a great pleasure in my life of having discovered your courses and material as well as the YouTube work of recordings. You have a calm and pleasant way of teaching.
Ron writes, Hi Vidas and Osha, thank you guys. What a wonderful response to my email note to you. You've got me right, and I feel you understand my level of playing. Yes, at home, and lucky that I have an organ for that reason. I am paying attention to this, and I am going to try this no longer secret model. Yes, and I love Cesar Frank too. What is very nice about your blog podcast is that Osha and Vidas are like a Socratic dialogue, and by bouncing things off of each other, so much more information comes out and is expressed. Your comments contain a wealth of information and understanding. I really appreciate this. It is very inspiring and will keep us moving forward.
Would you like to receive the same or even better results that our students are getting? If so, join them at organduo.lt/total-organist. And of course, you will get the first month free too. You can cancel anytime.
Also, if you haven't yet subscribed to receive free updates of this blog, make sure you do that at organduo.lt. By subscribing, you will also receive free video, how to master any organ composition, and 10-day organ playing mini course.
This was Vidas
and Osha. from Secrets of Organ Playing.
And remember, when you practice,
Miracles happen.